The story opens on a stormy desert highway, where Emma Lawson, emotionally shattered yet determined, drives alone through sheets of relentless rain. Her wipers squeak against the windshield as thunder cracks in the distance, mirroring the chaos inside her. She's just left behind everything familiar, her cheating fiancé, her job, her city life, in search of something she can't quite name. The isolation of the highway becomes a reflection of her own emptiness. When her car suddenly sputters and dies, panic flashes across her face. She checks her phone, no signal. The pounding rain muffles her frustrated scream as she hits the steering wheel, whispering bitterly, "Of course, figures." This moment captures her emotional exhaustion and vulnerability, setting the tone for a journey not just of survival, but of rediscovering herself in a world that has just betrayed her. Out of the downpour, faint headlights emerge, a pickup truck slowing beside her. A rugged man steps out, Cal Walker, soaked to the bone but calm, with a quiet strength in his posture. He offers help, his voice steady but distant, and Emma instantly hesitates. Every instinct warns her not to trust a stranger, especially here, in the middle of nowhere. Yet something about Cal, the gentleness behind his eyes, the way he avoids prying, makes her pause. As he inspects her car, their brief, clipped exchanges reveal the sharp edges of two wounded people. Emma's sarcasm shields her pain, while Cal's stoic demeanor hides secrets of his own. Lightning flashes nearby, and when he firmly tells her to wait in his truck for safety, she reluctantly obeys, sensing both danger and comfort in his presence. Inside Cal's old pickup, the storm thrashes outside like a restless beast. Steam rises from their wet clothes as silence stretches between them, broken only by the soft hum of the heater. Through small talk about where she's headed, about the storm, it becomes clear both are running from something. Emma avoids eye contact when she mentions leaving someone behind, and Cal's jaw tightens when she asks about his past. The car engine outside refuses to start, sealing their brief, unexpected connection. When Cal offers to tow it to his nearby garage, Emma hesitates, then finally nods. As his truck pulls onto the muddy road, the wipers clear just enough to reveal a wooden sign glowing in the rain. "Welcome to Silverton, population 1204. The quiet town ahead feels like the beginning of something neither of them expected. Morning light filters through the curtains of the small guest cabin behind Cal's garage, where Emma awakens to the soft hum of rain on the roof. The space is modest, a worn quilt, a chipped nightstand, a faint smell of oil drifting in from the shop, but it's the first real shelter she's had since leaving everything behind. As she sits up, the reality of her new life sinks in. 6 years of love, trust, and a carefully built career gone in a single betrayal. She left her fiancé, Ryan, and the graphic design agency she poured herself into, both intertwined in deceit. The emptiness she feels isn't just heartbreak, it's the loss of identity. 4 years, she defined herself by being needed, loved, and successful. Now, she's starting over, alone, uncertain, and haunted by the question of who she really is without them. Across the yard, Cal's day begins in quiet routine. The rhythmic clang of tools, the hiss of engines, and the low murmur of country radio fill his small-town garage. To most in Silverton, Cal Walker is a mystery, polite but withdrawn, a man who keeps to himself. The townsfolk speak softly about what happened years ago, a tragic accident involving his younger brother, Evan. Though no one dares ask for details, guilt lingers around Cal like the scent of gasoline. He works tirelessly, as if fixing broken cars might mend something inside him. His only real company comes from Tommy, his bright-eyed teenage apprentice who looks at Cal like a hero, and Marla, the diner owner who makes sure he eats more than coffee and cigarettes. To them, Cal's silence isn't coldness, it's a wound that time never fully healed. When Emma wanders into the garage, the awkwardness between her and Cal begins to soften through small, genuine moments. She notices his struggling business website and, without overthinking, offers a few design ideas. What begins as casual advice turns into collaboration, Cal nodding, Emma sketching, and Tommy watching in quiet amusement. Their conversations shift from guarded to warm, her dry humor sparks small smiles from him, and for the first time in months, Emma's laughter rings out unforced. The emotional parallels between them emerge, both broken in different ways but somehow steadier in each other's company. As the day fades, Cal makes her a quiet offer, She can work part-time helping with design while he repairs her car. Emma hesitates, then accepts. It's more than a job, it's the first flicker of belonging and purpose she's felt since her world fell apart. The peace Emma has started to build in Silverton shatters one afternoon when her phone rings an unfamiliar number, but the voice on the other end stops her cold. It's Ryan. His tone is desperate, almost pleading, as he apologizes for everything, for the affair, the lies, the pain he caused. He insists he made a mistake and wants her to come home. Hearing his voice floods Emma with memories she's tried to bury: late-night laughter, shared dreams, the betrayal she saw in his eyes the day she found out. Her throat tightens, and tears blur her vision, but she says nothing. Cal, working nearby, overhears fragments of the conversation, her trembling voice, the name Ryan. When she hangs up, silence fills the space between them, heavy and unspoken. It's not jealousy he feels, it's recognition. Both of them are haunted by ghosts they can't quite let go. That night, Emma lies awake in the cabin, staring at the ceiling. Ryan's words echo in her mind, stirring confusion and anger. For the first time, though, she doesn't feel the urge to run back. Silverton's stillness, Cal's quiet steadiness, and the gentle rhythm of small-town life offer her a fragile sense of peace she doesn't want to lose. The next morning, she tells Cal she'll stay a few more weeks, claiming it's because her car still needs work. But deep down, she knows it's because she's not ready to face her old life. Yet just as she begins to feel rooted, whispers begin spreading through town, half-voices over coffee cups at Marla's diner. They say Cal's brother's death wasn't an accident, that Cal was behind the wheel that night, drunk. Emma catches fragments of the story, uncertainty twisting inside her. She doesn't know what or who to believe. The rumors eat away at Emma's growing trust. Finally, one evening, she confronts Cal directly, voice trembling, heart pounding. "Is it true?" she asks. The question hangs in the air like thunder. His jaw tightens, and his eyes darken with something between pain and anger. "You don't know what you're talking about," he mutters before walking away, leaving her standing in silence. The distance between them feels colder than the rain outside. Later, driven by confusion and compassion, Emma follows the winding road out of town until she reaches the crash site. Under the shadow of an old oak tree stands a small, rusted cross, half buried in weeds. The wind whistles softly through the branches, carrying echoes of loss. Emma kneels, brushing dirt from the metal, her chest heavy with emotion. For the first time, she sees Cal's pain not as mystery, but as the weight of something unbearably human. The truth about Cal's past begins to unravel unexpectedly one afternoon when Tommy, in his youthful honesty, mentions Eli, Cal's younger brother who died 5 years ago. The boy's voice falters as he admits Cal still visits the crash site every month, leaving behind fresh flowers. He blames himself, Tommy says quietly, eyes downcast. He was driving that night. The words hit Emma like a quiet storm. Suddenly, Cal's withdrawn nature, his solitary habits, his reluctance to smile all make sense. He isn't cold, he's broken. Emma sees him differently now, not as a mystery to be solved but as someone living in a self-made prison of guilt. That evening, she watches him work in silence, each motion methodical and deliberate, like a man trying to repair the world piece by piece even if he can never fix himself. And for the first time, she truly feels his loneliness. One quiet night in the garage, surrounded by the smell of motor oil and the soft hum of an old radio, Emma finally opens up about her own past. She tells Cal how she caught Ryan cheating with her best friend, how the betrayal hollowed her out. How people told her to be mature and forgive, but she couldn't pretend it didn't destroy something inside her. Her voice trembles, but Cal doesn't interrupt. He just listens, eyes steady, hands still. When she finishes, he says nothing, just slides a cold beer toward her and murmurs, "You did what you had to do." The simplicity of his words breaks something open inside her. They sit in silence, the air thick with shared pain, not the kind that pushes people apart, but the kind that quietly binds them. Two broken hearts recognizing each other in the dark, mending slowly through understanding. As days pass, their bond deepens in unspoken ways, shared smiles over coffee, long drives to nearby hills, quiet laughter that feels like healing. But the fragile peace shatters when Ryan appears in Silverton, his car pulling up to the garage like a ghost from another life. His tone is pleading, desperate, full of promises to change. Emma freezes, torn between anger and the familiar ache of history. Cal watches from a distance, misunderstanding her hesitation as willingness to forgive. The walls he had started to lower quickly rise again, his old self-protective silence returning. For Emma, the moment becomes a mirror, two men, two paths, two versions of herself. The safe familiarity of the past versus the uncertain, fragile freedom of the present. As the sun sets over Silverton, she realizes she can't stand in the middle forever. She has to choose, return to what broke her, or stay where she's learning to breathe again. Tension explodes one afternoon when Ryan storms into Cal's garage, his voice cutting through the clatter of tools. He accuses Cal of taking advantage of Emma's heartbreak, calling him a coward hiding behind his sob story. Cal's calm exterior finally cracks, anger flashing in his eyes. Emma rushes in, trying to separate them, but it's too late. The truth bursts out in raw, painful fragments. Cal shouts that he wasn't the one driving that night, Eli was. His brother had been drunk, and Cal had begged him not to go. When Cal grabbed the wheel to stop him, the car lost control and crashed. Cal survived. Eli didn't. The town blamed him, and he let them, too broken to correct them. They needed someone to hate, he says quietly. And I needed someone to blame. The garage falls silent, the rain outside echoing the ache of years of unspoken truth. The revelation hits Emma harder than she expects. Shame and sorrow twist inside her, not just for doubting Cal, but for seeing in him a reflection of her own pain and misjudgment. She feels foolish for believing whispers instead of her instincts, for running from her own past rather than facing it. The guilt becomes suffocating. Without a word, she grabs her keys and storms out into the rain, ignoring Cal calling after her. She drives blindly, tears mixing with raindrops on the windshield, her emotions spiraling between anger and regret. But fate, cruelly poetic, intervenes. Her car sputters, then stalls, right on the same lonely stretch of highway where she first met Cal. The headlights dim, the engine dies, and in the darkness, she breaks down, sobbing, trembling, whispering to no one, I ruin everything I touch. The storm outside mirrors the storm raging within her. Moments later, through the blur of rain and headlights, Cal's truck appears, just as it had that first night. He steps out, soaked, his expression raw with worry and relief. Neither speaks at first, the storm does all the talking. When their eyes finally meet, everything unsaid between them hangs heavy in the air. Emma's voice cracks as she whispers, You didn't fix my car that night. You fixed me. The words break the silence, and Cal's composure crumbles. They stand there, drenched, exhausted, and unguarded, letting the grief and love and forgiveness pour out at once. No grand speeches, no perfect timing, just two broken souls finding their way back to each other in the rain. In that fragile, tear-soaked moment, the past loses its hold, and what remains is something raw and real, the quiet beginning of healing. 3 months later, Silverton feels like a different place, or maybe Emma does. The once transient stranger has become part of the town's rhythm. She now helps Marla redesign menus for the diner and creates websites for small local businesses, her creativity rekindled in the slow, steady pace of rural life. The air smells of coffee and rain, the streets hum softly with community, and Emma feels something she hasn't in years, belonging. Her laughter fills Marla's diner as she shares breakfast with the locals who once eyed her warily. The scars of betrayal haven't vanished, but they no longer define her. She's no longer the woman who was cheated on or the one who ran away. She's Emma Lawson, a survivor, an artist, a woman rebuilding her story on her own terms. For the first time in a long time, her reflection in the mirror feels whole. Cal, too, has changed. His shop buzzes again, no longer weighed down by the ghost of Eli's death. The truth, once buried under guilt, has set him free in quiet, unspoken ways. He drives out to the small cemetery on the edge of town one gray morning and kneels by his brother's grave. In his hand is Eli's old wrench, worn, rusted, but meaningful. He places it gently against the headstone, his voice steady as he whispers, I'm finally done hiding. There are no tears this time, only a deep exhale, the kind that releases years of silent suffering. The town's forgiveness doesn't matter anymore, he's forgiven himself. When he stands, The weight that's been pressing on his shoulders for half a decade is gone. He drives back to Silverton with the windows down, the wind cool against his face, and for once, the road ahead feels open. Life between Emma and Cal settles into something quiet but beautiful. Every morning, they share coffee before work, sometimes talking, sometimes just sitting in comfortable silence. There's no rush toward romance, no cinematic declaration. Instead, there's presence, understanding, and a peace that neither of them thought possible. Emma watches Cal laugh with Tommy, teaching him how to rebuild an engine, while she sketches designs at her laptop nearby. Occasionally, their hands brush when passing a mug, and that's enough. Theirs is not a love story of fireworks, it's one of steady light. Healing, in Silverton, doesn't look like forgetting the past. It looks like learning to live with it and still choosing to move forward. As the sun sets over the desert highway where they once met, the same sign glows softly in the evening light. Welcome to Silverton, population 1204. Only now, it finally feels like home. The sun hangs low over the same desert road where Emma and Cal first crossed paths, that lonely stretch of highway that once symbolized her escape. Now, months later, it's where she's chosen to stay, and the scene feels transformed. The air is warm, the wind carries the faint hum of summer, and laughter replaces the sound of thunder. Emma kneels beside her old car, sleeves rolled up, grease on her hands, working side by side with Cal as they replace the final bolt on the engine. The once broken car, much like her spirit, hums back to life. She wipes her forehead and glances at Cal, who grins faintly beneath his dusty cap. There's no need for grand declarations, their shared silence says everything. The storm that once raged between them has passed, leaving behind something quiet, enduring, and beautifully human, peace built from pieces of pain. As the engine purrs steadily, Emma leans against the hood and says softly, "Funny thing about engines, they need the right parts to keep going." Cal looks at her, his eyes full of warmth and a hint of amusement. "So do people," he replies, voice low but sure. It's a simple exchange, yet it holds everything they've both learned about love, forgiveness, and the slow, messy work of healing. This isn't a story of two people saving each other, but of two souls learning how to live again. The moment feels sacred in its simplicity, just two people standing where everything began, no longer running from the past, but facing the future together. The sky stretches wide and golden around them, the desert endless and open, a quiet promise that life, like the road, will always keep going forward. Emma climbs into the driver's seat, Cal beside her, and the car rolls forward down the open highway, but this time, it's not an escape. It's a beginning. The wind rushes through the open windows as laughter fills the cab, soft and real. The camera pulls back, rising slowly above the desert until the two figures become small against the endless horizon. Emma's voice drifts through the fading light, tender and reflective. "Sometimes the ones who fix what's broken aren't the ones we were looking for, they're the ones we never saw coming." The words linger like an echo, resonating with the quiet truth of their journey. The car disappears into the golden distance, the sun dipping low behind them. No more storms, no more running, just the soft hum of possibility. In the vast stillness of the desert, healing finally feels complete.